Hello there, Trash Pandas! I hope you're sitting comfortably because it's time for a story. The year is 1999. I'd just been given Crash Bandicoot Warped for my birthday and had been playing it non-stop. But then suddenly a rumour started circling around the playground. There was another game hidden on the disc. All you had to do was enter a specific combination of button presses at the main menu, and so I did it. And there it was. My first experience of Spyro the Dragon. And I just fell in love with it. The demo gave you access to the first homeworld, alongside a couple of the main levels and the time trial. The rest of the level portals were closed, and so naturally the world boss was also off limits. But even so, there was just so much to explore. Up until this point I'd never really experienced a game with this much freedom, and so I ended up replaying the demo again, and again, until eventually I'd probably spent more time on it than I'd actually played Crash. And so began my obsession with a certain purple dragon. So let's be honest, Spyro the Dragon isn't exactly some hidden niche game. Most gamers have come across it at some point or another, and especially now that the Reignited trilogy exists. But let's break it down to basics anyway. We start out in an interview with one of the dragons, explaining that they're celebrating collecting a suspiciously specific amount of treasure, and he starts to make fun of the game's antagonist, Nasty Nork. Well, I guess Nasty was watching this live because he immediately takes offence and turns all of the dragons into statues, and steals all of the treasure, leaving only Spyro, who I guess was too small for Nasty to really worry about, to head off on an adventure to free all of the dragons and singe Nasty right in his Nork. The game is split into a series of homeworlds, each representing a theme that all the levels and dragons loosely follow, and they're all pretty unique and fantastic. You start off in Artisans, a nice peaceful rural land where you can just relax and learn the controls. Then there's Peacekeepers, a war zone in an arid canyon. Magic Crafters, believe it or not, is where all the magic is crafted, and so everything is strange and mystical. Beastmakers is a gloomy swamp where all the animals are created. Dreamweavers is a sky castle where dreams are made. And then finally Nasty's world is a coastal realm swarming with Norks and the location of Nasty's hideout. Within each homeworld are a series of level portals, all unique lands usually relating in some way to their homeworld, as well as a speedway where you have to fly around destroying sets of items within the time limit, and then finally the boss portal. But there's no correct order to play through these. To unlock each homeworld, all you need to do is find the balloonist, who will then tell you to collect a certain number of dragons, gems or eggs, and the game literally does not care how you go about this. So if you really wanted to, you could collect all of the gems in Artisans, and then skip the Peacekeepers levels entirely. It gives the player full freedom to explore the worlds as they see fit. If you're really struggling with a certain area, you're free to just completely skip it and only come back when you're trying for 100%. The only real exception to this is in Nasty's world, where you need to at least leave through the exit portal in each area to open up the next. So I'm just going to come out and say it. Spyro has some of the best 3D platforming mechanics that have ever been put to use. Around the same time, Crash Bandicoot was managing to do platforming surprisingly well, but it was still at its strongest in the side-scrolling sections, and the full 3D levels always had a hint of clumsiness. It's something that games have always seemed to struggle with. 3D environments just don't make platforming easy. But Insomniac laughed at this entire struggle by allowing the player to glide. Suddenly you have far better mid-air control, and the platforms can be spread out much further apart, allowing you to correct your positioning, leading to a much more user-friendly experience that feels less like physics has just cheated you whenever you fail. Mind you, that's not to say that it's a perfect system. If you so much as brush against a wall in mid-air, Spyro will come crashing down. Obviously this is problematic in tight spaces, but it's extremely frustrating when you were a single pixel too low to get onto a ledge, and instead come tumbling down either to your death or to a lower part of the level, leaving you to climb all the way back up, probably to fall again. The later games did find a solution to this, but we'll get to that. Combat is extremely simple, yet somehow still allows for a huge variety of enemy types. So you have a charge and a flame attack, and that's basically it. As a general rule, most regular enemies will be vulnerable to both of these attacks, while those with metal armor will be immune to fire, and large enemies can't be charged. Simple. But then what if you come across a large enemy with armor? Well, maybe they're standing on an icy surface and you can just push them off a cliff. Or maybe they're a goddamn metal nightmare spider and you have to traverse the entire level to find the supercharge ramp. There's always a solution hidden somewhere on the level, even if it's not obvious at first. And if you get stuck, usually freeing a nearby dragon will provide you with a hint on how to proceed. I do feel like I've forgotten another important enemy type, but I'm sure it's not something that will annoy the hell out of you for all of eternity. All in all, Spyro the Dragon managed to find a glorious balance between simple mechanics and spectacular level design. And it's a game that I've literally never heard anyone say they didn't like. If you lived through the PS1 era of gaming, it was just a given that you'd probably played it at some point. From the moment that I first tried it out, I just instantly fell in love with it. And it laid the groundwork for two of my favourite games of all time. But that is a story for another day, and this has been a love letter to Spyro the Dragon. So, as always, if you've been enjoying my ramblings, please do let me know in the comments. It really does mean the world to me to hear from you guys. And as always, I have my social links in the description if you want to see what else I've been up to. But I will be continuing with Spyro's sequels very soon, but until then, thank you so much for watching.